This is Bruce, the last nail. As I was researching this morning on what I wanted to do today for my vlog, I came up with some Boulder County history. I wanted to go to the Pearl Street Mall and see a plaque dedicated to Lincoln's Gettysburg Address and a monument for Civil War veterans. As I dove a little more in depth, I found a monument at the Mountain View Cemetery in Longmont. Quite by accident, I found the name of a Civil War veteran. As I was researching the Mountain View Cemetery, I found that buried there is a Civil War veteran who won the Congressional Medal of Honor. The veteran, the name is John Harvey Fisher. He won the Medal of Honor for his bravery at the Battle of Vicksburg. Instead of going to downtown Boulder, I thought, well, let's go up to Longmont to the Mountain View Cemetery and see what we can find up there. Nothing ventured is nothing gained. I hope you will come along with me. At the Mountain View Cemetery in Longmont. I'm at 620 11th Avenue, Longmont, Boulder County, Colorado. I'm at the family grave site. This is the Fisher family, and the person that I'm most interested in here is that of John H. Fisher. He is a Medal of Honor recipient. He was the captain of Company B, the 55th Illinois Infantry during the American Civil War. He was in the Union Army under General Ulysses Grant and also under General Sherman. He lived from 1837 to his death in 1895. On May 22nd, 1863, the citation for his Medal of Honor reads, "Gallantry in the charge of the volunteer storming party." His medal was awarded to him on September 2nd, 1893. He was one of 9 55th Illinois Infantry soldiers to be awarded the Medal of Honor for bravery during the Civil War, others being Corporal Robert M. Cox, Chaplain Milton Haney, musician Orion P. Howe, Corporal James Larrabee, Private Robert Lower, Private Jerome Morford, Private Jacob Sanford, and Corporal John Warden. The Fisher burial site also includes his wife, Irene, who was born 1868 and passed in 1945 at the Battle of Vicksburg that was fought in May, June, and the beginning of July in 1863. On May 22nd, 1863, General Ulysses S. Grant ordered an assault on the Confederate heights at Vicksburg, Mississippi. The plan called for a storming party of volunteers to build a bridge across a moat and plant scaling ladders against the enemy embankment in advance of the main attack. The volunteers knew the odds were against survival, and the mission was called, and this is vernacular for the 19th century, a forlorn hope. Only single men were accepted as volunteers, and even then, twice as many men as needed came forward and were turned away. The assault began in the early morning following a naval bombardment. The Union soldiers came under enemy fire immediately and were pinned down in the ditch they were to cross. Despite repeated attacks by the main Union body, the men of the Forlorn Hope were unable to retreat until nightfall. Sadly, of the 150 men in the storming party, nearly half were killed. 79 of the survivors were awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. Captain of Company B, John H. Fisher, was one of them. Okay, the two women here, there's a Harriet Fisher, who was born 1890, passed away 1907. So I have to assume that Harriet was the daughter of John and Irene Fisher. And then on the left, there's a Harriet L. Fisher, born 1848, passed in 1911. Harriet L., I know, was the sister. Now, there were other scattered family members. John and Irene Fisher had quite a few sons and daughters, and they are buried. There's a couple in Wyoming. I know there's one out in Whittier, California. So I just covered the story of the Forlorn Hope attack, and I'm going to go into a little bit more into depth. And this is a narrative by an Oregon writer by the name of Randy Fletcher. So U.S. Grant sends out the calls for volunteers. He had spent months encircling the enemy, and now he had them trapped within their fortress on the Mississippi River. He would take that fort by storm, and this time, by God, he would not fail. 2 days earlier, his men had been pushed back, but that assault had been hurried and made without careful planning and proper support. Grant had lost 1,000 men in that attack. This time would be different. The Confederate stronghold at Vicksburg would fall. Grant chose his best general, William Tecumseh Sherman, to lead the attack, which would be preceded by a bombardment from Union gunboats on the river. Vicksburg sat high on the bluffs of the Mississippi, protected on one side by the river and on the land side by steep cliffs and fortifications. In order to breach the fort, the Union troops would first have to cross a dry moat and then scale the heights in a direct strike. A volunteer storming party would lead Sherman's attack. 150 men carrying logs, planks, and ladders. The plan was that some of the men would charge and throw the logs across the deep but dry moat, while the men with planks would place them across the logs, creating bridges over the trench. This would allow the third group of volunteers to cross the moat with scaling ladders and place them against the rebel embankment. The main body of armed troops would then advance and attack the fort directly. Of course, the troops, most members of the Forlorn Hope mission, could expect to be killed or wounded. Such an attack today would be called a suicide mission. Each regiment would have a quota for volunteers, and Sherman specified that only single men would be accepted. No fathers or husbands would be sent on this mission. Even with that limitation, twice as many men as needed stepped forward, and the volunteers were paired to the 150 required. John H. Fisher joined the 55th Illinois Infantry as a private in September of 1861 and was discharged in May of 1865. I'm still at the Mountain View Cemetery, also known as the Longmont Cemetery. This is what I originally came over to photograph. There was also two other memorials in Boulder. This is at the Longmont Cemetery. At the bottom it says 61 to 65. It's got the crisscross swords. It says, in memory of our honored dead, and it shows a Union infantry, probably in winter clothing. Looks like he's got a winter jacket. His eyes are closed. That would appear to be solemn remembrance of his comrades that were killed in action. This is the backside of the Longmont Cemetery Civil War Monument. I don't know if you can read that very well because of the lighting, but it says, dedicated to our nation's defenders by the WRC, and this was dedicated on May 30th, 1907. Well, hello, it's time for me to wind up and move on. Please remember our veterans, and please remember our war dead. I know we have Memorial Day and Veterans Day, but let's keep them in mind when we can. Another thing I ask is please ring that notification bell, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you and goodbye.